Welcome to B1 Ministries, a podcast for the Outcast. Spiritual conversations for everyday people. Come on. Be one with your universe. Be one with love for all humanity. Be one. Spiritual conversations for everyday people. Be one with love for all humanity.
All right, so take one on the podcast today about I don't know, man. You know, it's been on my heart to just do some regular, everyday people kind of spiritual teaching. You know, not that I'm a big guru or anything, but I can say I've been doing this spiritual life thing for a while, and it's been pretty good. You know, I have fallen into a groove a little bit that I have experienced some joy and some peace and some respite from the craziness of the world. You know, my wife always jokes that I'm just way too damn happy all the time, and it's authentic. You know, that joy is deep down inside of me, and I know that it's going to be okay. You know, no matter what goes on, I have faith that, you know, God's doing a thing, you know. So I wanted to just kind of share a little bit about, you know, my relationship to God and spirituality and Jesus, and I by no means, like I said, I don't want to come off as some super theologian or somebody that's got all the answers, because I don't. And I don't think none of us do. Although there are some people that are well versed in doctrine, and, you know, they have a lot of theology in their background. They may have pastored, you know, churches and been around the world and all that is great. And I actually have a few dear friends that I look up to because of their travels in life, you know, and their experiences. They help me shape and mold who I am today, you know. And so, but it's been really, really, really pressing on my heart in especially the last couple months, to begin to record my thoughts. And so that is actually all I'm doing. My hope is to use B1 Ministries as a safe place for people to explore their spirituality, that they would not be judged or, you know, or any of that about how they believe, even if they're not, you know, quote unquote saved in their own minds and hearts. I think that sometimes we get caught up in the numbers of church, you know, who got saved and all that kind of stuff. And I don't really want to focus on any of that. I mean, if you know Jesus as your personal Savior and you're comfortable with that, that's fine. If not, please stay tuned, because I'm going to talk about spirituality from a place of just basic spiritual practices. You know, what do you do in a practical situation with the things that the world throws at us every single day? And so anyway, I like to keep these about 15 minutes, because I know that y'all out there in streaming land ain't got much more than 15 minutes to dedicate to listen to somebody ramble. So with that being said, my name is William Hughes. I live in Seattle, Washington. I'm just a regular Joe. I have, like I said, been in this spiritual journey for a while. I did go and study for about a year and got ordained, and I can marry and I can bury and all that stuff, but really I'm just a guy, get a chance to be on a board that I chair, which is an organization that I came seeking some help from, that had a Jesus-centered foundational way of helping you get to the end of yourself so that you could be of usefulness to others. And that has really proven to be one of my journeys that has led me to this place that I'm in today, to talk about these things that I want to share. And I think the biggest thing is, what do you do with, especially folks that don't go to church, or they're really not in the Word, or they're not in some kind of spiritual practice that gives them some freedom and some liberation from, the media and the messaging and all the stuff that we're supposed to do, and, keeping up with the Joneses, and having the right car and the right house and wearing the right clothes and speaking well and having the right education and all these kinds of things. And I'm not saying any of that is not important, because it is. There's value to all of that. Prosperity, I believe, for me, the book of William, really starts with your spiritual life, your spiritual journey, being centered in that, and all the other stuff just kind of comes because it's a byproduct of how you are living inside. So with that being said, I can just tell you what I do every day. And the first thing I do in my morning, and I get up at like 3, I'm an IT guy. I do infrastructure services, data center stuff, and so I'm up awfully early. So I get a chance to really meditate on life a little bit earlier than most, when the world's a little quieter. Not that it's quiet, but it's quieter. And it does give me a chance to reflect. And my first thing that I always try to do every morning, and I'm pretty sure this is about 98% of the time. Some days I'm in a brush or whatever, but every day I try to find 3 things, or 3 people, or 3 situations that I'm grateful for, and a lot of the times it's just real simple. I woke up this morning. That's a huge first thing to be grateful for, because there's a whole lot of folks that didn't wake up this morning. And when I say wake up, I'm really talking about, yes, an earthly being alive, but I'm talking really more in a deeper way, being awake spiritually, like connected. That part of being awake is, for me, huge, and so that sometimes it's that simple. But most of the days I'm super grateful for my lovely wife, and how God has given me someone that is a reflection of myself, that I can grow with, that I can love, and that I can take care of, and express the love God has given to me, through me to her, because my ministry starts at home, and I'm a real busy guy and all that. It probably drives my wife half nuts, because I just got so many things that I do, and I never say no. And I don't know, I have this innate feeling of responsibility for God's kids, because I've been loved by Him so much that I want everybody to feel that presence. And so I'm guilty of that. So those 2 are on my list pretty much every day. I try not to use the same 3 a day. Try to find 3 things that are different every day. But the moral in this is that I do that every morning, so that I start off with a grateful heart. But because it's kind of hard to have a grateful heart and at the same time be pissed off at the world, It's just a great way to start my day, and you can call that my morning meditation. You can call it whatever you want. But that is my first and foremost thing that I do every single day. And that is not a big religious event. It's not, in the corner on my knees and, doing some kind of weird, practice of it, or ritual. I guess it still is a ritual in a sense, but yeah, so anyway, that, I don't want to ramble on about that, but I believe that that is very, very, very important, to find 3 things every morning that you're grateful about, and try really hard to not use the same 3 as just a kind of a placeholder, that, you know what I mean? So that's one. And the other one is just having my heart in a state of being a servant. Realizing that, our whole existence as humans is kind of centered around serving others. I know for me, I feel best when I'm in a place of giving. Not that I don't like to receive, but, I have everything. I'm abundantly blessed beyond measure. And I just want to be a part of the solution and give this thing called love away. And it's so important to do that. And so I always think of the analogy of Jesus washing the disciples' feet, and they said to him, oh no, master, we should be washing your feet. You're the Messiah, right? And I love his response in that, because he's like, until you learn how to do what I'm doing, you can never understand how to be like me. Because he came to die for sin for the whole entire world. And that analogy, or that picture of the willingness to do that, be the final sacrifice for all things, so that everyone could have a fair shot at this thing called love, and heaven, if you want to call it that. I believe heaven to be love, like to be in love, is heavenly. I experienced that with my wife, and I'm not saying that, we have this, balloons and rainbows and unicorns kind of relationship, because we don't. We're both 2 knuckleheads that came up hard, and we had some walls and all of that. So yeah, we definitely, don't have that kind of a, everything's all, super fluffy, because we just work it out. We do what we need to do to make sure that, we are trying to be the best version of ourselves that we can be for each other, so that there's something left over to give to other people in terms of this thing called love. So those are 2 really important factors that I think about when I think about what is spirituality. What is, how do you do that on a practical basis? And so those are 2 very practical things I do every day, and they're not all fancy. And I'm sorry, I'm not a super preacher and all that, and laying it down and the Lord and all that. I'm not that guy, so I'm gonna just keep it real simple, real practical. But the third thing that I really try to do at least once a day is, find you a daily bread, something that you read or watch on YouTube, something positive, something spiritual, something that connects you. I tend to listen to a whole lot of different kinds of folks, because I don't believe in just being pigeonholed into one aspect of this thing called love, this thing called Jesus, this thing called spirituality. So, I listen to the Wayne Dyers, the Michael Beckworths, the Marianne Williamsons, folks that are kind of more open to all folks' stuff with respect to, BYOG, bring your own God. If that's how you get down, I mean, my hope is that you would find Jesus, because I know what Jesus has done for me, and it's a beautiful, beautiful relationship that we have. So, and that is just my faith, but I don't want to judge anyone's faith, especially if it's working for them, but I think that being a seeker, every day at least, making an attempt to reach out and learn something new about how to love and how to find a divine practice in your life that keeps you sustained, because if you don't have spiritual food, you will surely die. And all of the folks around you will surely die with you, because you can't give them something you don't have. And so I really believe in that. It's kind of like, really, like a profession you might want to be in. You can't go out and be effective in that profession without educating your mind. and educating your heart and being passionate about that you are doing, how would you ever be effective in that? So those are 3 practical ways that I approach each and every day. Now, did I start that way? Not even close. When I first started this thing, I was barely good at one of those things, and I had a lot of selfishness, a lot of dis-ease, dis-ease thinking, lots of drug and alcohol and all those things that, cover, our real issues in life. And a lot of the times our real issue is us. We can say, this person pisses me off, or if that person wouldn't have did this, this wouldn't have happened, da, 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 da. And all that may be valid and true, but the one commonality in all of those situations is you, because you were there. You were a participant in the insanity, and so a lot of times just accepting your responsibility of your part in things really gives you some liberation and freedom, so that you can kind of let those things be forgiven and let them go. There's a whole lot of different very specific topics I do want to talk about as we move on in this thing. And, forgiveness is definitely one of them. Love in specific. What does that look like? Marriage, man, the image of marriage, man, is just a beautiful, beautiful topic. And I would love to cover that as I am a bride. I know men don't want to hear that, but, if you truly love Jesus, or you truly walk in with your God in that way, you would understand that, we are the bride of Christ. And so that means we kind of got to be a wife, right? First. And that in doing that, we can't ever expect our wives to be something that we're not to Christ. So if you really want to have a good marriage, be a good bride first. And your wife will lean into that because she will see your desire to please God. And I think that you can get a lot of respect, man, for just having that as a practice, and just the little things. I mean, I don't want to go too far into the marriage thing because that's a whole nother deal, but come home and do the dishes every now and then. You know what I mean? Pick up the house or vacuum the floor, cook a dinner for your family. Don't always put that on your wife it's your wifely role and all that. You're in a marriage, man. It's a give and take. So, and I know some men be like, this cat right here, don't put that out there. But you know what? It's the truth. And so, any hoser, I don't want to be too deep on this one because it's the first of many to come. And I like doing this every day in my car thing because that's kind of my time, and I think deeply about things. I pray a lot in my car. And that's the other one. I guess we could add a fourth to this particular episode. Prayer is everything, especially prayer with a group of people you trust. That's kind of important to find a group, a fellowship, because fellowshipping with folks is how you grow. It's really difficult to grow all by yourself, and so find yourself a group of men, a group of ladies that you hang out with, and find some kind of a way to share each other's life in such a way that it helps you grow as a person. And I just believe that it's important, is fellowship, so that would be my number 4. But we can go into that a little deeper later because this one is a very basic principle thing. And so if you're struggling with, I really want to be a good dude, I don't know what I'm doing, a good woman, I seem to be so lost and consumed with all of this worldly stuff, I've given you a few practical things to start out with, and my hope is that you make it a practice. Because one of the good things about, having a spiritual life is it's beautiful, man. That's all I can say. I mean, it's just simply beautiful. And I just would love to give this gift to anybody who's willing to share in that with me. And so if you don't have a group, a men's group or a women's group or a kids group, whoever you are out there, you can tune into this for a little while. We can call this your group, and I'll be blessed to have you. And so as I post these things to my YouTube page, I would love to hear your comments and your thoughts around these principles that I've outlined. And just to recap on them, first of all, that would be gratitude, waking up with a grateful heart and naming a few things, and then being a servant-hearted person, being a giver, and educating your mind about spiritual things or things that will give you motivation to be the best version of you, and prayer. Those are some very basic things, and you don't have to be a theologian. You don't got to be super duper smart and all this stuff, because sometimes we get it twisted, right? And so anyway, I'm going to stop with that. This is my first one. I'm only doing this on my phone because I'm an everyday dude, right? I don't have no fancy nothing right now. I'm working on it. I got a few ideas out there for 4K camera and whatnot, but I ain't there yet. So give a brother a minute. I think these will get better. And with that, I just want to say thank you guys for taking a minute to listen. I'm thinking this probably was more than 15 minutes, but that's okay. Just know that it's going to be all right. It really is. And so take a minute. If you don't take a minute in life, it's really hard to figure out, what love really looks like until you learn to love yourself and learn to be loved by God. So with that, I'm going to call it quits for this episode. We will revisit this in episode 2 coming up. I'm really just working on the website, and I have no idea why God is asking and calling my heart to do this, but I do want to be obedient, because, anytime I have followed God's voice, it has always led to a beautiful place. And so I don't know what that looks like, right? But God bless you all, and see you again soon. Be one. I'm out.
Welcome to B1 Ministries, a podcast for the Outcast. Spiritual conversations for everyday people. Come on. Be one with your universe. Be one with love for all humanity. Be one. Spiritual conversations for everyday people. Be one with love for all humanity.